The alien princess thought her human husband was harmless until his past emerged, the arranged union princess. Zara stood on the observation deck of the Imperial Palace, watching the human transport vessel descend through the shimmering energy shields that protected the capital city. The ship looked small and unremarkable compared to the elegant crystalline vessels that floated gracefully around it. Her reflection in the transparent aluminum showed a tall figure with skin that sparkled like diamonds under certain light, a natural characteristic of her people. Today, she would meet the man chosen to be her husband. The crystalline empire had dominated this sector of space for over 10,000 years. Her people possessed natural telepathic abilities that allowed them to communicate instantly across vast distances. Their technology was built on principles of energy manipulation that most other species were only beginning to understand. They had achieved peace, prosperity, and cultural sophistication that made them the envy of dozens of civilizations. Humans were different. They had only achieved faster than light travel about 80 years ago. They were still struggling with the basic concepts of energy field theory. Most crystalline citizens viewed them as enthusiastic children, eager to learn but lacking the wisdom that came with millennia of experience. The Human Federation was small, comprising only 30 star systems, while the crystalline empire controlled over 300 worlds. Zara's father, Emperor Valen, had proposed this marriage as a gesture of goodwill. The humans had proven to be reliable trading partners and had helped mediate a minor dispute with the Ferran Confederacy. Binding the two civilizations through marriage would strengthen diplomatic ties and give humanity a powerful ally. Zara had agreed because duty to her people always came first, but she harbored no romantic expectations. The human delegation entered the grand reception hall an hour later. Zara studied them from her position beside her father's throne. Most wore formal diplomatic uniforms, standing stiffly as they were announced. Then she noticed one man who moved differently. He was tall by human standards, with dark hair that showed traces of gray at the temples, and warm brown eyes that seemed to take in everything without appearing to stare. This was Dr. Marcus Chen, her intended husband. He approached the throne with a grace that seemed natural rather than rehearsed. When he bowed, it was neither too deep nor too shallow. When he spoke, his voice was calm and carried genuine warmth. "Your Majesty, Your Highness, I am honored by your welcome and humbled by your trust. I hope to prove worthy of the friendship you extend to my people." Emperor Valen smiled, pleased by the respectful tone. "Dr. Chen, we have heard much about your work in xenolinguistics and comparative cultural studies. Your reputation as a scholar precedes you. You are too kind, Your Majesty. I have much to learn about your magnificent civilization." Zara noticed that Marcus did not make grand promises or flowery speeches. He was polite, sincere, and modest, exactly what one would expect from a human academic who had been given an opportunity far beyond his normal station. They met privately later that evening in one of the palace gardens. Crystalline architecture incorporated living plants that grew in geometric patterns, their bioluminescence creating soft purple and blue light. Marcus walked beside her, asking thoughtful questions about the flora and the philosophy behind the garden's design. "Your people see harmony as a fundamental principle," Marcus observed. "Everything in balance, nothing in excess. It's reflected in your art, your architecture, even your social structures." "You understand quickly," Zara said, somewhat surprised. "Many visitors see only the beauty but miss the meaning beneath it." "Beauty without meaning is just decoration," Marcus replied. "Your civilization has had thousands of years to refine the connection between the two. Humanity is still learning that lesson." Over the following weeks, Marcus proved to be an attentive student of crystalline culture. He learned their primary language with impressive speed, though he struggled with the telepathic nuances that came naturally to her people. He studied their history, attended cultural ceremonies, and never complained about the complex protocols required before a royal wedding. Zara found herself enjoying his company more than she had expected. Marcus had a quiet sense of humor and could discuss philosophy, art, and science with genuine insight. He treated palace servants with the same courtesy he showed to high nobles, which some found strange, but most appreciated. He seemed content to support Zara in her duties, never seeking attention or status for himself. The Imperial Council approved of him. "A gentle soul," one advisor commented. "He will cause no trouble at court, and will reflect well on your Highness. Marcus had brought few personal belongings from Earth. One item that caught Zara's attention was a simple wooden box he kept in his quarters. When she asked about it, he opened it to reveal a medal made of bronze and silver, bearing symbols she did not recognize. A service commendation, Marcus explained, from my time working in diplomatic security, before I became a full-time academic. It seems like another lifetime now. He closed the box and placed it on a shelf where it gathered dust over the following months. Zara did not press him about his past. Everyone had chapters of their lives they preferred not to revisit. The wedding ceremony took place on a clear evening, when 3 moons hung in the sky like pearls. 10,000 guests filled the grand cathedral, representatives from dozens of worlds who came to witness the union. Zara wore traditional robes woven with crystalline fibers that caught the light and created rainbow patterns. Marcus wore formal attire from Earth, simple black with minimal ornamentation. They exchanged vows in both languages. Marcus's hands were steady as he placed the bonding crystal on her wrist, a tradition that symbolized the merging of 2 lives. His voice never wavered when he promised to honor and protect her for as long as he lived. When the ceremony concluded, the crowd erupted in celebration. The celebration feast lasted until dawn. Musicians from across the empire performed on instruments that created sounds Zara had known since childhood. Dancers moved in patterns that told stories of ancient heroes and legendary love. Marcus sat beside her at the high table, greeting guests with gracious words and accepting their congratulations with humble gratitude. Zara watched her new husband throughout the long night. He never drank too much. He never said anything inappropriate or made promises he could not keep. He treated everyone with the same quiet respect, whether they were powerful military commanders or simple servants bringing food and drink. After the wedding, Marcus moved into the royal wing of the palace. His quarters were adjusted to match Earth's gravity and atmospheric composition, since humans required different conditions than crystalline people. He established a routine quickly, rising early to exercise, spending his mornings in the Imperial Library, and attending whatever functions Zara needed him at in the afternoons and evenings. The palace staff grew fond of him. He learned their names and asked about their families. When he saw someone struggling with a heavy load, he would help carry it, despite protests that such work was beneath a royal consort. He shared meals with the scholars in the library, discussing ancient texts and philosophical questions with genuine enthusiasm. Marcus seemed fascinated by everything about crystalline civilization. He spent hours studying their history, particularly the accounts of ancient wars that had been fought thousands of years ago. When Zara asked why he found those old conflicts so interesting, he said that understanding how civilizations handled their darkest moments revealed their true character. Your people chose peace after experiencing the horrors of war, Marcus said. That choice required strength, not weakness. It's a lesson my people are still learning. Months passed peacefully. Zara discovered that she genuinely enjoyed Marcus's company. He was intelligent, thoughtful, and had a way of seeing connections between ideas that others missed. At night, they would sit together in their quarters and talk about their different worlds, finding both profound differences and surprising similarities. The wooden box remained on its shelf, untouched. The medal inside represented a past that Marcus never discussed. Zara's friends told her she had made an excellent match. Marcus would give her no trouble. He would support her when she eventually took the throne. He was exactly what a royal consort should be, pleasant, supportive, and content to remain in the background. Only occasionally did Zara catch something in Marcus's eyes. A flicker of something deeper when he thought no one was watching. In those brief moments he seemed far away, thinking about things he never spoke of. Sometimes she would find him standing at the window late at night, staring out at the stars, with an expression she could not quite read. But these moments passed quickly, and the gentle scholar would return. Life in the palace followed its predictable rhythm. Days blended into weeks, then months. Zara attended council meetings and state functions with Marcus at her side. They presented a picture of harmony and mutual respect. Everyone agreed that the marriage had been a success, and that the humans had sent them exactly the right person. No one suspected that the quiet scholar had lived an entirely different life. No one imagined that the gentle diplomat had seen things that would haunt most people's dreams. And no one could have predicted that the peaceful routine they all took for granted was about to shatter completely. The storm was coming, but for now there was only calm. Princess Zara had married a human scholar who loved books and gardens. That was the truth that everyone believed. The deeper truth, the one that Marcus Chen had buried beneath layers of careful performance, would remain hidden until circumstances forced it into the light, and those circumstances were already in motion, rushing toward them through the darkness between stars. The shadows descend. The first warning came at dawn on what should have been an ordinary day. Zara was reviewing agricultural reports from the outer colonies when her father's chief military advisor burst into her office without announcement. The man's crystalline skin had lost its usual shimmer, taking on a dull grey color that indicated extreme stress. "Your Highness, we have lost contact with 3 colonies in the outer rim. All communication ceased simultaneously 14 minutes ago." Zara felt her blood go cold. 3 colonies did not simply lose contact at the same time. She abandoned her reports and ran toward the command center, her robes streaming behind her. Marcus was already there, standing quietly near the back wall as military officers rushed about frantically. Emperor Valen stood at the central display, his face grave. The holographic projection showed the Empire's territory with 3 red markers indicating the silent colonies. As Zara watched, 2 more markers turned red. "What is happening?" she demanded. Admiral Kresh, the commander of the Imperial fleet, turned to face her. His telepathic broadcast filled the room with his tension and barely controlled fear. "We are under attack, Your Highness. The enemy fleet appeared without warning, bypassing our early detection systems. They are using weapons that neutralize our telepathic networks and tear through our shields like they are made of paper." "Who is attacking us?" Emperor Valen asked. "The Void Collective," Kresh replied. 6 aggressive species that formed an alliance 3 years ago. Intelligence indicated they were a minor threat, focused on consolidating their own territory. "We were wrong." Zara moved to the display and studied the enemy fleet movements. The red markers were spreading like a disease across the outer rim territories. Each marker represented millions of her people now silent. "How many ships?" she asked. "Over 3,000 in the main assault force," Kresh replied. "Their technology is comparable to ours, but their tactics are brutal and efficient. They are not attempting to capture or occupy. They are systematically destroying everything." Marcus stepped forward slightly, his voice calm but carrying an undertone that made people turn to look at him. "Admiral, what is their heading? Where is the fleet moving after each attack?" Kresh looked surprised that the human consort had spoken, but he manipulated the display to show projected fleet movements. "They are advancing in a curved pattern, hitting colonies with the highest populations first. At their current pace, they will reach the capital world in approximately 8 days. Marcus studied the display for a long moment. Zara noticed that his expression had changed. The gentle scholar was gone, replaced by someone who looked at the battlefield with a calculating precision she had never seen before. "They are trying to break your will to fight," Marcus said quietly. "Each attack is designed to maximize psychological impact. They want you paralyzed by fear before they reach your core worlds. And how would you know their strategy?" Kresh demanded, his tone dismissive. "Because it's an effective one," Marcus replied without emotion. "If I wanted to defeat an empire that relied on telepathic communication and collective morale, I would do exactly what they are doing." The next 3 days brought nothing but bad news. The Void Collective's advance continued without pause. Crystalline battle fleets engaged them twice and were destroyed both times. The enemy possessed jamming technology that disrupted the telepathic coordination that crystalline tactics depended on. Without that instant communication, their carefully choreographed battle formations fell apart. Emperor Valen called emergency council sessions every few hours. Military commanders proposed strategies that had worked for thousands of years, traditional tactics that relied on technological superiority and telepathic advantage. Every proposal assumed the enemy would eventually be ground down by crystalline industrial capacity and superior numbers. Marcus attended these meetings, standing in his usual place near the wall. Zara watched him carefully. His expression remained neutral, but she could see tension in the set of his shoulders and the way his eyes tracked every piece of information presented. On the 4th day, after another colony went silent, Marcus spoke up during a council meeting. "Your Majesty, with respect, the strategies being proposed will not work." The room fell silent. Admiral Kresh turned to glare at him. "And what would a human scholar know about military strategy? You study old texts and attend diplomatic functions. Leave warfare to those who understand it." "I understand it better than you think," Marcus said quietly. "The Void Collective has studied your tactics for years. They know how you fight. Every strategy you propose is predictable, because it worked in the past. But they have built their entire military specifically to counter your strengths. Then what do you suggest?" Emperor Valen asked, raising a hand to silence Kresh's objection. Marcus stepped forward to the tactical display. "You need to contact the Human Federation. Specifically, you need to request assistance from a unit called Ghost Protocol." "I have never heard of such a unit," Kresh said. "Most people haven't," Marcus replied. "That's by design." Zara felt a chill run down her spine. The way Marcus spoke about this Ghost Protocol, with a familiarity that went beyond academic knowledge, made her realize she was seeing a part of him that had been hidden all along. That night, Zara found Marcus in their quarters, standing at the window and staring out at the stars. She approached him slowly, her mind full of questions she was not sure she wanted answered. "Marcus, who are you really?" He did not turn around. "I am exactly who I have been for the past year. A scholar, a diplomat, your husband. All of that is true. But it is not the whole truth." Marcus was silent for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was heavy with something that might have been regret. "No, it is not the whole truth." He walked to a cabinet and opened a hidden panel she had never known existed. Inside was equipment she did not recognize, compact and clearly military in nature. Beside it hung a black uniform made of material that seemed to absorb light. "Before I became a diplomat, before I became a scholar, I was a soldier," Marcus said. "Not a regular soldier. I was part of Ghost Protocol, humanity's most classified special operations unit. We handled situations where conventional military forces would fail. We were sent to places where war had already failed, and only targeted action could resolve the situation." Zara stared at the uniform, then at her husband. "How many missions?" 43 combat deployments over 10 years. I led teams into hostile territory on 17 different worlds. Most of those conflicts remain classified because we resolved them before they could become known threats. "Why did you not tell me?" Marcus finally turned to face her. "Because I wanted to be someone else. I was tired of war, tired of making decisions that cost lives. When I was offered this assignment, to come here as a diplomat and help build bridges between our peoples, I saw a chance to be the person I always wished I could be. The gentle scholar who loves learning and culture. That person is real, Zara. He is not a disguise. But the soldier is still there. Yes, the soldier is still there." The next morning, Marcus stood before Emperor Valen and the council. "I have made contact with Ghost Protocol through secure channels. They can be here in 20 hours. 12 operatives, including myself, will execute a mission to eliminate the Void Collective's leadership and break their operational cohesion." Admiral Kresh laughed harshly. 12 soldiers against an armada of 3,000 ships. This is madness. 12 specialists, Marcus corrected. "We do not fight armies in open battle. We find pressure points and exploit them. The Void Collective has a centralized command structure. Their 6 species cooperate because their leaders maintain strict control. Remove that leadership, and the coalition will collapse into infighting." Emperor Valen studied Marcus with new eyes. "You truly believe this can work?" "I know it can work, Your Majesty. I have done it before, but I need command authority and access to your intelligence networks. Ghost Protocol operates best when we have complete tactical freedom." The Emperor looked at his daughter. Zara thought about the past year, about the man who had learned their language and loved their gardens. Then she thought about the uniform hidden in their quarters and the tone in Marcus's voice when he talked about warfare. "Give him what he needs," Zara said. 20 hours later, a stealth ship descended through the atmosphere so quietly that most sensors never detected it. 12 figures emerged from the landing bay, each wearing black armor that seemed to shift and blur at the edges. They moved with a precision that reminded Zara of apex predators, every step deliberate and controlled. Marcus stood among them, and Zara barely recognized him. He wore the same armor, carried the same weapons, and moved with the same lethal grace. The gentle scholar had vanished completely, replaced by a man who looked like he had been born for war. A woman with short silver hair and a scar across her left cheek approached Marcus and gripped his shoulder. "Commander, good to see you, though I wish it was under better circumstances." "Captain Reeves," Marcus replied, his voice carrying an authority that made everyone nearby instinctively straighten. "Thank you for coming. Where else would we be?" "You call, we answer. That's how Ghost Protocol works." The 12 operatives gathered in a secure briefing room. Zara insisted on attending, and Marcus did not object. She watched as he transformed completely, becoming a commander who spoke with absolute confidence and expected instant obedience. "The Void Collective's fleet is coordinated from 5 command carriers," Marcus explained, manipulating a holographic display. "These ships contain the supreme commanders of each species, plus a joint command council. They maintain control through a combination of direct communication and fear. The individual fleet captains have no authority to make strategic decisions." Captain Reeves studied the display. "So if we eliminate the command carriers, the fleet loses cohesion." "Exactly. Ghost Protocol will infiltrate 3 of the 5 carriers simultaneously. Teams of 4 per carrier. Our objective is to eliminate the supreme commanders and destroy the communication networks that hold the coalition together." One of the operatives, a massive man with cybernetic enhancements, spoke up. "How do we get past 3,000 warships to reach the command carriers?" Marcus smiled, and it was not a gentle expression. "We let them capture us." The plan was insane, brilliant, and completely typical of how Ghost Protocol operated. They would use a damaged crystalline scout ship as bait, broadcasting false distress signals. When the Void Collective captured the ship and brought it aboard one of their command carriers for interrogation, Ghost Protocol would already be inside. "The beauty of this approach," Marcus explained, "is that they will do it to 3 different carriers simultaneously, because their commanders will each want to interrogate prisoners personally. Their arrogance and desire for glory works in our favor." Over the next 12 hours, Ghost Protocol prepared. They studied schematics of Void Collective ships that Crystalline Intelligence had gathered. They reviewed the psychological profiles of each Supreme Commander, looking for weaknesses and patterns. They practiced close-quarters combat techniques and ran through contingency plans for every possible scenario. Zara watched Marcus work with his team. This was who he had been before she met him. This was the man who had fought in wars she had never heard of, making decisions that shaped the fate of civilizations. The scholar who loved gardens existed too, but he had been built on top of this foundation of controlled violence and strategic thinking. As the operation approached, Marcus found a moment to speak with Zara privately. "I need you to understand something," he said. "What I am about to do, what we are all about to do, is not glorious. It will be brutal and efficient and terrifying. When this is over, you may look at me differently." "I already look at you differently," Zara replied, "but that does not mean I love you less. It means I understand you better. Go and do what must be done. Save our people." Marcus nodded, and for just a moment the scholar returned to his eyes. Then he turned and walked toward the waiting ship, rejoining his team. Ghost Protocol moved as one unit, 12 people who knew each other so well that they barely needed to speak. The 3 scout ships launched into space, flying erratically as if damaged. They broadcast distress signals and false telemetry data that made them look like wounded prey. The Void Collective fleet detected them immediately and dispatched recovery teams to all 3 ships. In the command center, Zara watched the tracking displays with her father and Admiral Kresh. The scout ships were brought aboard 3 different command carriers, exactly as Marcus had predicted. Then the signals went dark and there was nothing to do but wait. The waiting was torture. Minutes stretched into hours. Zara imagined everything that could go wrong, every way the mission could fail. 12 people against thousands, deep inside enemy ships with no support and no escape route. Then suddenly the first command carrier exploded. It was not a weapon strike from outside. The ship tore itself apart from within, massive detonations rippling through its structure. 2 minutes later, the second carrier suffered the same fate. 3 minutes after that, the third carrier went dark, all power systems failing simultaneously. Chaos erupted in the Void Collective fleet. Without clear orders, individual captains made their own decisions. Some ships broke formation and retreated. Others tried to press the attack. Several opened fire on each other, as old rivalries surfaced without the supreme commanders to maintain discipline. The crystalline forces, coordinated by Admiral Kresh, pressed their advantage. They engaged the confused enemy fleet with precise strikes, targeting command ships, and disrupting what little coordination remained. The battle turned from a massacre into a rout. 12 hours later, 3 stealth shuttles returned to the palace. Ghost Protocol emerged from them, tired but alive. They had succeeded completely, eliminating the Void Collective's leadership and destroying the infrastructure that held their coalition together. The enemy fleet had fractured and fled in all directions. Marcus was the last to emerge. He looked exhausted, his armor scorched and damaged. When he saw Zara waiting for him, something in his expression softened. The warrior began to recede, and the scholar started to return. But Zara knew now that both were real. Both were Marcus Chen, and she would need to find a way to love all of him, not just the parts he had shown her before. The war was over, but understanding was just beginning. The storm unleashed. The palace medical bay was filled with activity as Ghost Protocol underwent post-mission examinations. Zara stood outside the treatment rooms, waiting as physicians checked Marcus and his team for injuries. Through the transparent walls, she could see them talking and laughing. The easy camaraderie of people who had just survived something terrible together. Admiral Kresh approached her, his crystalline features showing an expression she had rarely seen. Genuine humility. "Your Highness, I owe your husband an apology. I underestimated him badly. We all did." "He wanted to be underestimated," Zara replied. "It made his life simpler." "What he accomplished," Kresh continued, "should not have been possible. My tactical analysts have been reviewing the mission data. The precision, the timing, the psychological manipulation of the enemy. It was extraordinary." Marcus emerged from the medical bay, wearing simple clothes and looking more like the scholar Zara had married. But she could see the difference now. The way he moved, the constant awareness in his eyes, the subtle tension in his shoulders that spoke of readiness for violence. These things had always been there. She had simply not known how to see them. "Walk with me," Zara said, taking his hand. They walked through the palace gardens where they had spent so many peaceful evenings. The bioluminescent plants cast the same soft purple and blue light, but everything felt different now. The comfortable silence they had once shared was replaced by a tension neither knew how to address. "Tell me what happened on those ships," Zara said finally. "I need to understand." Marcus was quiet for a long moment, clearly weighing how much to share. "We infiltrated through the cargo bays after the scout ships were captured. The Void Collective had anticipated prisoners to interrogate, not soldiers. We moved through the ships in complete silence, eliminating sentries without raising alarms. Ghost Protocol specializes in what we call shadow warfare. We strike before the enemy knows we are there. You killed people, yes, many people. The command carriers held approximately 800 crew members each. We neutralized the threats we encountered on our way to the command bridges." Zara felt a chill despite the warm evening air. "How can you speak of it so calmly?" "Because emotion would make it worse," Marcus replied. "I learned a long time ago that the only way to do what needs to be done is to accept it as necessary and move forward. If I stopped to feel the weight of every life I have taken, I would never be able to function." "But you do feel it," Zara said, seeing the truth in his eyes. "You just hide it well." Marcus smiled sadly. "Yes, I feel it. Every single one. That is why I was so eager to become someone else, someone who did not have to make those choices anymore." They sat on a bench beneath a tree whose branches grew in perfect geometric patterns. Zara studied her husband's profile, seeing the scholar and the soldier superimposed on each other. Neither one false, both completely real. "What happened on the command bridge?" she asked. "How did you eliminate the supreme commanders?" Marcus leaned back, his eyes distant with memory. The Void Collective's leadership met daily to coordinate their strategy. We timed our attacks to coincide with one of these meetings. When we breached the command bridges, all 6 supreme commanders were present on each ship via holographic communication. They saw you coming. "They saw death coming," Marcus corrected. "We moved too fast for them to react. Captain Reeves took down the Kralix commander before he could reach his weapon. Lieutenant Zhang neutralized the Threk's supreme leader with a precision shot from 40 meters. I personally eliminated the Vordal war chief who had ordered the destruction of your colonies." Zara absorbed this information, trying to reconcile it with the man who had spent months gently studying ancient texts and asking about flower arrangements. And after the commanders were dead, we destroyed the communication arrays that allowed the coalition to function as a unified force. Then we planted charges in the reactor cores and withdrew to our extraction points. The timing had to be perfect. Too early, and the security forces would prevent our escape. Too late, and we would be caught in the explosions. You made it look easy. Marcus laughed, but there was no humor in it. It was not easy. We lost equipment, took injuries, and came within seconds of mission failure multiple times. Ghost Protocol succeeds because we prepare for everything and never give up, even when circumstances turn against us. But every mission carries enormous risk. Over the following days, the full extent of Ghost Protocol's success became clear. The Void Collective had fractured completely. The 6 species that had formed the coalition immediately turned on each other, each blaming the others for the leadership's death. Several broke into open warfare among themselves, the surviving enemy ships scattered across space, no longer a unified threat. Crystalline forces retook their colonies with minimal resistance. The war that should have lasted months and cost millions of lives had ended in less than 2 weeks, thanks to 12 human operatives. Emperor Valen held a formal ceremony to honor Ghost Protocol. The 12 soldiers stood in the Grand Hall, looking uncomfortable in the formal setting. They were people built for shadows and silence, not public recognition. When the Emperor offered them medals and titles, Captain Reeves politely declined. "Your Majesty, we do not seek recognition. We did what needed to be done because Commander Chen called us. That is enough." "Commander Chen?" the Emperor repeated, looking at Marcus. "You led them?" "I founded Ghost Protocol," Marcus said quietly. 12 years ago, when humanity was facing threats we could not handle through conventional military force, I recruited and trained every person here. They follow my orders because they trust my judgment, not because of rank or ceremony. The revelation rippled through the assembled nobles and officials. Princess Zara's gentle scholar husband had not just been a soldier. He had been the architect of humanity's most effective weapon against existential threats. "Why did you leave?" Emperor Valen asked. "Why abandon such an important position?" Marcus looked at Zara before answering. "Because I was tired, Your Majesty. Tired of war, tired of decisions that cost lives, tired of being the person who had to do terrible things so that others could live in peace. When I was offered the chance to come here as a diplomat, I thought I could leave that life behind. I thought I could be someone different. But you cannot leave it behind," the Emperor said gently. "It is part of who you are." "Yes," Marcus agreed. "I understand that now." That evening, Zara and Marcus stood together in their quarters. The hidden panel in the cabinet was still open, the black armor visible inside. Marcus had not put it away yet. "What happens now?" Zara asked. "Do you return to Ghost Protocol? Do you go back to being their commander?" Marcus was silent for a long moment. "I do not know. Captain Reeves has been leading them well in my absence. They do not need me anymore, not really, but I also cannot pretend to be only a scholar. That part of me exists, but it is not the whole truth." "Then be both," Zara said. "Be the scholar who studies ancient texts and loves gardens. Be the soldier who protects people when they cannot protect themselves. Be the husband who stands beside me as we rebuild our empire. You do not have to choose one identity. You can be all of them." Marcus turned to look at her, surprise evident in his expression. "You still want me here?" "After everything you have learned." "I want you here because of everything I have learned," Zara replied. "I thought I married a gentle scholar who would cause no trouble and remain quietly in the background. What I actually married was someone far more complex and interesting. Someone who has the strength to be gentle when gentleness is needed, and the courage to be terrible when terror is necessary." She took his hands in hers. "You saved my people, Marcus. You saved worlds. You did things that will haunt you for the rest of your life, and you did them because they needed to be done. That kind of strength, that kind of sacrifice, deserves love and understanding, not rejection." Marcus pulled her close, and for the first time since the mission ended, she felt some of the tension leave his body. "I do not deserve you," he said quietly. "Probably not," Zara agreed with a small smile. "But you are stuck with me anyway." In the weeks that followed, Marcus worked with Admiral Kresh and the Crystalline military to reform their tactical doctrine. He showed them techniques for fighting, without relying solely on telepathic coordination. He taught them about adaptability and unconventional warfare. The Crystalline Empire had been powerful for so long that they had forgotten how to fight against an equal opponent. Marcus helped them remember. Ghost Protocol remained on the capital world for a month, training selected crystalline soldiers in their methods. Captain Reeves formed a friendship with several high-ranking officers, sharing knowledge that humanity had gained through hard experience. The exchange went both ways, with the operatives learning about crystalline technology and energy manipulation techniques. When it came time for Ghost Protocol to depart, Marcus stood with Zara on the landing platform. His team waited by their stealth ship, giving him privacy for his goodbyes. Captain Reeves approached and saluted. "Commander, the team is ready to deploy. Our next assignment is in the Andromeda sector. Alliance intelligence has detected unusual activity that needs investigation." "You do not need me," Marcus said. "You have proven that you can handle any situation." "That is not the point," Reeves replied. "The question is not whether we need you. The question is whether you need us. If you ever do, just call. Ghost Protocol always answers when you reach out." Marcus nodded, emotion visible in his eyes. "Thank you, Captain. For everything." The stealth ship lifted off silently, disappearing into the sky within seconds. Marcus watched it go, then turned to find Zara waiting. "Do you regret staying?" she asked. "No," Marcus said, and she could hear the truth in his voice. "I made the right choice. Both choices, actually. I was right to come here seeking peace, and I was right to fight when fighting was necessary. Maybe that is the lesson I needed to learn. Life is not about choosing between peace and war, scholar and soldier. It is about knowing when each is needed, and having the courage to be what the moment requires." They walked back into the palace together. Marcus still taught in the Imperial Library, still studied ancient texts, still asked thoughtful questions about philosophy and art. But he also met regularly with military advisors, helping them prepare for future threats. He trained a small group of crystalline soldiers in unconventional tactics. He maintained contact with human military intelligence, providing insight into the political situation in this sector of space. The wooden box with the service medal remained on the shelf in his quarters, no longer gathering dust. Marcus had taken it down, cleaned it, and placed it where he could see it every day. It represented the man he had been, the sacrifices he had made, the choices that still haunted his dreams. Months turned into a year. The Crystalline Empire rebuilt the colonies that had been destroyed. They established new defense networks and updated their military doctrine. Most importantly, they changed how they viewed other species, particularly humans. The casual dismissal was gone, replaced by respect and a recognition that strength came in many forms. Zara found that her love for Marcus deepened as she came to understand all the facets of who he was. The gentle scholar still emerged when they walked through gardens or discussed ancient philosophy. But now she also saw the protector, who stood ready to defend what he loved. The strategist who could see patterns others missed. The leader who commanded absolute loyalty from those who served with him. One evening, they received a message from Captain Reeves. Ghost Protocol had successfully completed their mission in the Andromeda sector, preventing a war that would have consumed dozens of star systems. She thanked Marcus for the training he had provided and the example he had set. "They are doing well without you," Zara observed. "Yes," Marcus agreed. "They are. But I am doing well here too. I have found something I did not know I was looking for. A way to use everything I am, all the parts of myself, in service of something larger." Zara leaned against him as they stood at the window, watching the 3 moons rise over the capital city. "Tell me something. When you first came here, when we first met, did you ever imagine it would turn out this way?" Marcus considered the question carefully. "Honestly? No. I thought I would play the role of gentle diplomat for a few years, help strengthen the alliance between our peoples, and then fade into quiet obscurity. I thought I could bury the soldier so deep that he would never surface again. But he was always there. He was always there," Marcus confirmed. "Watching, analyzing, preparing. Even when I was studying your ancient texts, part of me was noting defensive positions and calculating tactical responses. Even when I was admiring the gardens, I was identifying cover points and escape routes. It was instinct, Burned so deep that I could not turn it off, and does it bother you? Living with that constant awareness. It used to, Marcus admitted. I thought it meant I could never truly be at peace. But now I understand that peace does not mean the absence of readiness. It means having the strength to protect what matters while still being able to appreciate its beauty. I can love these gardens and know how to defend them. Both things can be true. A soft chime announced an incoming communication. Marcus activated the console, and Admiral Kresh's face appeared on the holographic display. Prince Marcus, Princess Zara, forgive the intrusion. We have a situation that requires your expertise. Marcus straightened immediately, his posture shifting. What kind of situation, Admiral? One of our deep space monitoring stations has detected unusual energy signatures near the border with the Ferran Confederacy. The patterns match nothing in our database. Given recent events, I thought it best to consult with you before proceeding. Send me the data, Marcus said. I will analyze it and provide recommendations within the hour. When the communication ended, Zara saw the transformation in her husband. The scholar receded, and the strategist emerged, his mind already working through possibilities and scenarios. You think it might be another threat, she said. I think the galaxy is a dangerous place, and vigilance is the price of survival, Marcus replied. The Void Collective was not an anomaly. There are other aggressive species out there, other coalitions forming, other threats developing. What we did was win one battle, not end all wars. He pulled up the data Admiral Kresh had sent and began analyzing the energy signatures. Zara watched him work, seeing the focused intensity that had made him such an effective commander. His fingers moved rapidly across the console, pulling up comparative data, running simulations, testing hypotheses. These signatures are consistent with a new type of cloaking technology, Marcus said after several minutes. Someone is testing stealth systems near our border, probably gathering intelligence on our defenses. The Ferran Confederacy? Possibly. Or someone using their territory as a staging ground. Either way, it needs to be investigated. He opened a secure channel and began composing a message. I am recommending that Admiral Kresh deploy scout ships with enhanced sensor packages. If someone is spying on us, we need to know who and why. Over the next few hours, Marcus coordinated with Crystalline Military Intelligence, drawing on his experience to anticipate potential threats and recommend countermeasures. Zara assisted where she could, providing context about political relationships and historical precedents that informed the analysis. By the time they finished, it was well past midnight. The energy signatures had been identified as Ferran scout ships, conducting routine border patrols, nothing threatening. But the investigation had revealed gaps in the crystalline early warning system that needed to be addressed. You were born for this, Zara said, as they finally prepared for bed. Not just the fighting, but the protecting. The watching for threats and preparing to meet them. Perhaps, Marcus said, but I was also born to learn and grow and appreciate beauty. Both things are part of being human. We are capable of extraordinary violence when necessary, but we are also capable of extraordinary compassion. The key is knowing which to use and when. Is that what HFY means? Zara asked. Humanity something, yeah? Marcus smiled. Humanity, fuck yeah. It is a crude phrase, but it captures something important about my people. We are not the strongest species or the smartest or the most advanced. But we adapt. We survive. We find ways to win when we should lose. And we do it with a stubborn determination that refuses to accept defeat. It suits you, Zara said. That stubborn determination. As they lay in the darkness, Zara thought about everything that had changed since the Void Collective's attack. Her empire had been shaken but not broken. Her people had learned that strength came in unexpected forms. And she had discovered that the man she married was far more complex and capable than anyone had imagined. Marcus, she said quietly, if another threat emerges, if the empire faces danger again, will you fight? Yes, he answered without hesitation. I will fight, not because I love war, but because I love peace enough to defend it. That is the paradox I have learned to accept. Sometimes the only way to preserve what is gentle and beautiful is to be willing to be terrible. And when the fighting is done, then I will return to my books and gardens. I will study ancient philosophy and discuss art with scholars. I will be the husband who walks beside you through peaceful days. Until the next crisis comes, and then I will be the other thing again, Zara understood now that this was who Marcus truly was, not one thing or the other, but both existing simultaneously. The capacity for terrible violence and gentle kindness existing in the same person. It was a very human trait, she realized. The ability to contain multitudes, to be complex and contradictory, and somehow make it work. The following morning brought news that spread quickly through the palace. The Human Federation had formally requested to establish a joint military training program with the Crystalline Empire. They wanted to exchange knowledge and techniques, learning from each other's strengths. Emperor Valen called a council meeting to discuss the proposal. Marcus attended, and for the first time the other council members looked at him with genuine respect, rather than polite tolerance. "Prince Marcus," the emperor said, "the humans have specifically requested that you oversee the training program from the crystalline side. They believe you understand both civilizations well enough to bridge the gap." "What do you think?" Marcus stood and addressed the council with confidence. "Your Majesty, I believe this program could benefit both our peoples immensely. Humans can teach adaptability and unconventional thinking. Crystallines can teach discipline and energy manipulation techniques. Together, we could create something neither civilization could achieve alone. There are those who worry we would be sharing too much knowledge with a younger species," one advisor cautioned. "With respect," Marcus replied, "that attitude nearly cost you your empire. The Void Collective succeeded because they studied you while you dismissed them as inferior. True strength comes from cooperation and mutual growth, not from hoarding knowledge and maintaining artificial superiority." Admiral Kresh spoke up, surprising everyone. "Prince Marcus is correct. I have learned more about tactical innovation in the past month than I did in the previous decade. The human approach to warfare, their emphasis on flexibility and creative problem-solving, has already improved our effectiveness significantly." The council debated for another hour, but the outcome was never really in doubt. The joint training program was approved, with Marcus appointed as the liaison coordinator. It was a position that suited him perfectly, allowing him to use both his scholarly knowledge and his military expertise. As the meeting concluded, Emperor Valen asked Marcus to remain behind. When they were alone, the emperor's formal demeanor softened. "I owe you an apology," Valen said. "When I arranged your marriage to my daughter, I thought I was doing her a favor by finding a gentle partner who would not challenge her or cause complications at court. I believed humans were simple, uncomplicated creatures. I was profoundly wrong." "You were not entirely wrong, Your Majesty," Marcus replied. "Most humans are exactly what we appear to be. Farmers and teachers and merchants living ordinary lives, but every civilization has its guardians, those who stand ready to do what others cannot or will not do. Ghost Protocol exists because humanity learned through hard experience that peace must be defended. Your people are fortunate to have protectors like you, and I am fortunate to have found a place where all parts of me can exist," Marcus said. "Your daughter accepted me completely, not just the scholar she thought she married, but also the soldier I had tried to leave behind. That acceptance gave me permission to stop hiding and start integrating all aspects of who I am." Valen nodded slowly. "She is wise beyond her years. When I am gone and she takes the throne, she will need someone beside her who understands both the diplomatic arts and the harsh realities of defending an empire. She will need someone who can be gentle in times of peace and fierce in times of war. I'm glad that someone is you." The months that followed were productive and peaceful. The joint training program began with an exchange of 50 officers from each civilization. Human instructors taught courses in adaptive tactics and rapid decision-making under pressure. Crystalline instructors taught energy field manipulation and telepathic coordination techniques. Marcus divided his time between multiple responsibilities. He continued his scholarly work, publishing several papers on comparative civilizations that were well received in academic circles. He oversaw the military training program, ensuring that knowledge flowed freely in both directions. And he served as an advisor to both Emperor Valen and Admiral Kresh, providing insights that drew on his unique perspective. But most importantly, he was present for Zara. They walked in the gardens together, discussing everything from ancient philosophy to current politics. They attended state functions as a united front, presenting an image of harmony between their civilizations. They worked together on initiatives to strengthen the alliance, using Marcus's understanding of human culture and Zara's deep knowledge of crystalline society. One evening, as they sat beneath the geometric tree where they had shared so many conversations, Zara asked a question that had been on her mind for weeks. "Do you miss it? The action, the intensity of combat operations?" Marcus thought carefully before answering. "I miss the clarity of it sometimes. When you are in the middle of a mission, everything is simple. You have an objective, you have a team, and you execute the plan. There is no ambiguity, no political maneuvering, just clear goals and decisive action. But I do not miss the cost. I do not miss carrying the weight of decisions that end lives. I do not miss the nightmares or the constant adrenaline or the knowledge that one mistake could get my entire team killed. This life we have now, with its complexities and compromises and occasional frustrations, is better. It is real in a way that war never was. War felt real to me," Zara said quietly. "When our colonies were being destroyed, when our people were dying, that felt very real." "You are right," Marcus acknowledged. "I misspoke. War is devastatingly real for those who experience its consequences. What I meant is that the life of a soldier, especially a special operations soldier, exists in a state of artificial clarity. You reduce the world to objectives and threats. You stop seeing the complexity and nuance that makes life worth living. This," he gestured at the garden around them, the palace beyond, the city stretching to the horizon, "this is real in a fuller, richer way." Zara took his hand. "I am glad you feel that way, because I need you here, not just as a warrior in reserve, but as a partner who helps me navigate the challenges ahead." "What challenges?" Marcus asked, hearing something in her tone. "My father is preparing to step down," Zara said. "Not immediately, but within the next few years. He believes the Empire needs younger leadership, someone who can guide us through the changes that are coming. That someone will be me, and I will need you beside me." Marcus absorbed this information, understanding the implications immediately. "Empress Zara and Prince Consort Marcus. That will certainly change things." "Does it frighten you?" "Everything worthwhile frightens me a little," Marcus admitted. "But fear is not a reason to avoid responsibility. If your father believes the Empire needs new leadership, and if you are ready to take the throne, then I will support you in every way I can." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the 3 moons track across the sky. Zara thought about the future, about all the challenges that came with ruling an empire that spanned hundreds of worlds, but she also thought about the man beside her who had proven capable of extraordinary things when necessity demanded. "Marcus," she said eventually, "promise me something. Anything. Promise me that if another crisis comes, if the Empire faces threats I cannot handle through diplomacy or conventional military force, you will do what needs to be done. Not because I order you to, but because you choose to." Marcus turned to face her, his grey eyes reflecting the moonlight. "I promise. But I also promise that I will always return to you. No matter how far I have to go into the darkness, no matter what I have to do there, I will always find my way back to the light. Back to you. That is all I ask." Years passed. Emperor Valen gradually transferred authority to his daughter, preparing the empire for new leadership. Zara proved to be an exceptional ruler, combining her people's traditional wisdom with innovative approaches learned from human philosophy. Marcus remained at her side, serving as advisor, diplomat, and occasionally as the hidden guardian who dealt with threats before they could become public crises. Ghost Protocol operated throughout the galaxy, responding to calls for help from civilizations that faced existential threats. They never forgot that their commander had found peace on a crystalline world, and they honored that by protecting what he loved. The joint training program expanded beyond military applications. Human and crystalline scientists collaborated on research projects. Artists exchanged techniques and perspectives. Philosophers debated the nature of consciousness and the responsibilities of advanced civilizations. The alliance grew stronger, not through military might, but through genuine friendship and mutual respect. Marcus never forgot who he had been. The soldier remained part of him, ready to emerge when needed. But he had also become who he wanted to be, a scholar, a diplomat, a husband, and eventually a father when Zara gave birth to their daughter. The child inherited her mother's crystalline features and her father's grey eyes, a living symbol of two civilizations joined in hope rather than conquest. On quiet evenings, Marcus would stand at the window and look at the stars, thinking about the path that had brought him here. He had traveled from battlefields to palaces, from violence to peace, from hiding his true nature to embracing all aspects of himself. It had not been an easy journey, but it had been worthwhile. The black armor remained in its hidden compartment, cleaned and maintained, but rarely worn. The Sky Reaver rested beside it, a reminder of capabilities held in reserve. Marcus hoped he would never need them again, but he accepted that hope was not a strategy. The galaxy remained dangerous, and those who loved peace had to be willing and able to defend it. But for now there was peace. There were gardens to walk through and books to read and a family to love. There was an empire to help guide and an alliance to strengthen. There was the daily work of building something better, something worth protecting. Marcus Chen had been many things: soldier, scholar, diplomat, warrior, guardian, husband, father. He had learned that he did not have to choose between these identities. He could be all of them, drawing on whichever was needed in any given moment. That flexibility, that adaptability, was perhaps the most human trait of all. And when people asked him about his past, about the warrior who had saved an empire, Marcus would smile gently and say that he was just a man who had learned to be what the moment required. Nothing more, nothing less, just human. If you're ready to see humanity's unstoppable vengeance in action, hit that like button. Comment below and tell us, how do you think the humans' vengeance will change the galaxy? Make sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any of the thrilling moments to come. The battle for the galaxy is just beginning. Comment for next part.